We called it. Coming off a rough week last week. I had an unfortunate record going 2-3. Connor, in his first appearance back, was 3 for 7. Ken, 3
That
for
would
6.
be 3 and 4. 3 and 4.
No, see, I
right.
phrased it that way because my record sounds better then, and yours doesn't.
Fine, whatever.
Ken was 3 for 6, and Anthony got booted. We're no longer going to see his face after a very shameful 1 for 5.
Shame, shame, shame. Shame on you.
Bye, Anthony.
The only good news is that even though our best ball team did not do great, we are still in second, which is a placing into like the tournament round afterwards. So still got a nice little lead there and rebounded. Jerome Ford was our, saving grace. Unfortunate that had to be the case for all Browns fans. We'll miss you, Nick Chubb. Anyways, let's just get right to it. Let's not reflect on how sad and depressing week 2 was in all the games. Week 3, here we go. Dr. Kenneth Call. How you doing, Ken?
Phil, I'm still alive after everyone in Cleveland, guys, is just completely deflated. It is awful.
Every group chat is so depressing.
It's rough right now.
And Connor Lucas. Connor is gracing us with his presence once more. He has a nice tub of seafood that he is eating. It is not an exaggeration if you can see on YouTube. It is a literal
It's literally
tub
a lasagna tub of seafood. Oh, and just for everyone, the Jameis Winstons. So I still got to eat this. Why am I doing this, everyone? That's because I'm traveling for work, and I decided that I can't read a menu that says small and large, and I got the large, massive plate of seafood. So here we are in Chicago, enjoying my dinner.
With all the shrimp they had to offer. The whole city.
An entire crab.
All right. So with that, the A-team is here. We'll still hear from Anthony so that people know exactly what not to bet on, or bet the opposite of, realistically. But let's start off with our best picks of the week. We're going to call our shots here. So, Connor, you're back. You got some delicious crab leg.
I do.
What is your best pick of the week?
Detroit. No, everyone, we have literally talked about this so many times that every year there's always a team that starts out as a fraud. And I don't care what anybody says. Atlanta is fraudulent. Listen, if they didn't have like the easiest schedule, like in terms like their division is terrible. They don't really play anybody, even on their tough games. Like their tough games are not against. I don't think they play anybody like San Francisco. I don't think they play anybody like Philly. They might play Philly, but I don't think they do. I don't believe they play Philly. We're not talking like the top tier. I don't think they play Kansas City either. Again, we're talking about a team that is eking out wins. And I mean 1-point wins over Green Bay, by the way, another potentially fraudulent team. And we're sitting here having Arthur Smith talk about, hey, it doesn't matter, we're winning games, nobody cares. Dude, it will matter when they need paid. Everyone is going to hate you, and nobody's going to want to play for you anymore. It does not matter. He might have a good defense, fine. But he has not played anybody who's an elite offense yet. Pump the brakes. -3 does not seem that good. By the way, Detroit, they lost this week, didn't they?
Yep.
Oh, I think Campbell's going to have a big week this week. I'm so out on Atlanta. Maybe it's my hatred for Arthur Smith, which we have said forever. I don't know, man. I maybe it's just a hatred pick, but this feels stupid low for Atlanta.
I am all in with you. I actually like this pick because I like Detroit at home to do great, but we won't talk about that. So I'm backing your pick. Rather than that, we're going to keep with our best picks. Ken, who you got?
Well, real quick on the Atlanta game, it opened at like -5.5, and I'm like, you know what? That sounds like something that Atlanta can sneak in, and then they're obviously just got flooded with money, and now the minus. If it ever gets to -2.5, I'm all in on that, man. This team did beat Pat Mahomes week 1, and I completely agree with what Connor said. Atlanta's been fraudulent, but I called Phil yesterday because listening to somebody else, they're like, Arthur Smith is just doing all the right things. Love watching him coach. He's making good decisions. His team's like he's eking out these games. And I'm like, they're hard to watch. There's too much talent.
So hard to watch.
And
Dude,
I can't stress enough how much I love the talent on that offense, except Desmond Ritter, and he ruins it all.
So, all right, we're just going to keep trashing Atlanta and we'll get back to the, making more picks. But anyways, Tyler Algier had 16 carries for 48 yards, while Bijan's out there busting out like 6 yards a carry. And then I told Ken, he's like, well, you can't give Bijan 40 carries. I'm like, that's fine. Do quick hits to Drake London and Kyle Pitts, who are giant mismatches outside, and let them play one-on-one.
Literally,
They're just...
you have first round, 2 first rounders, and the highest drafted tight end in the history of the NFL, who also had one of the most historic seasons, 1,000 yards as a rookie, which is unheard of for a tight end.
I can't wait for Cordero Patterson to come back and get like 10 targets and 10 rushes and just completely take over the all the attempts. Yeah.
Dude, all right, so one last thing about how trash Atlanta is. I know we need to move on. Somebody on Twitter, and I gotta find him, did some crazy like deep dive on stats from Desmond Ritter throwing to the right side, aka he doesn't have to go blind and turn and read a defense. Something like 70 to 80% of his pass attempts are first read to the right now. He cannot go backside. It's insane.
He's Zoolander. He can't turn left.
Yes, I was.
Man, if I wanted, I hope Noah Rademacher listens to this one because he's gonna love this. The fact that I made a Jameis Winston crab legs joke and a Zoolander joke. We need to get Noah. Shout out Noah.
Oh man,
so hot right now.
Perfect.
We have like 3 clips, and one of them is Hansel's so hot right now.
Perfect.
All right, I'll move to my not favorite pick of the week, and that is Justin Herbert and the LA Chargers over Minnesota. Listen,
man.
The team is just too talented. Yes, they have completely they've just handed over 2 games so far. But stuck with Miami, and man, I don't know what to say about that Tennessee game. That was just so deflating. But the only team that likes to lose more than the Chargers this year is the Vikings. I don't think that that Thursday night game, that game was 28-7. Yes, they came back and made it a game, but I don't care. That game was never as close as it should be. And more importantly, Philadelphia looked bad. We are getting subpar Philadelphia football, and they still completely devastated them. This offense, no Austin Eckler, no problem. I don't think that their defense is going to have any answer for them. High scoring game, man. When the line started at like 51, I was like, oh, awesome. It's up to like 54. It's like, man, that's high, but I still don't think it's high enough. I might also take the over here later on, but give me Justin Herbert and the Chargers.
Dude, I'm with you. Chargers all the way. They're 0-2, and I picked them to win the division. It's really hard to win the division if you're 0-3, so I definitely believe in them to bounce back against the Vikings, who, dude, they literally got ran down like by the Eagles. I know the Eagles can run the ball, but they had no answer for any of the running backs in Philly. Their only hope was that Rashad Penny was so bad at running the ball that they had, a couple chances to tackle him.
Dude, I'm telling you though, man, the only reason I did not pick this week is, dude, Kirk has been balling. And I know they don't have a defense or haven't been able to stop anything, but that dude is for real. Like this year alone, we thought primetime Kirk was going to be bad. And I was like, oh man, Philly last week. Dude, he had a 30 plus QBR. And they showed like some advanced stats. I'm talking about like how the fact that he got sacked like 8 times again, like unbelievable. I was impressed last week. I know it's 1 week. but the Chargers don't have nearly as good of a defense as Philly. So I'm just like, I just didn't pick here.
So let me tell you, I hyped up Justin Herbert all offseason, so I have to keep betting him until he starts winning. You know, you got to stick with the brand. They're too good to be losing this many games.
I agree.
And I'm not going to give up on that.
Listen, Staley should be fired. We're going to talk about the Bears here in a minute, which good Lord. I don't even want to bring them up again. But
all right, so Ken, now that we covered a pick that was just off the rails, you went with Philly. You mentioned them a little bit as your favorite to win this week. Why do you like Philly so much?
That's right. And growing up, you always have a second team when you're in Cleveland, kind of like the B team. Mine was always Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I love watching them, and I wish the best for Baker. But I got to tell you, when you talk about teams that are playing above their level, it's them. You know what? It's not. It's the defenses that they've played. The two teams that Baker's looked good against, Minnesota and Chicago. Congrats. Those are the two worst defenses in the NFL. Congrats. You now get the best defense in the NFL. You are going... the pass rush alone, game over. Rashad White cannot carry a team running the ball. You try to keep Philly off the field. Not going to happen. I think that this will be a good challenge for Jalen Hurts and the Philly offense. I think that Tampa Bay has a really underrated defense, but it doesn't matter. I think that Jalen Hurts will be able to move the ball. They're going to score just enough. I told Phil, I think an accurate score for this one's going to be 24-0 Philly. I just don't see Mike Evans. I love watching Mike Evans. Love seeing him do good. Sorry, not against Philly.
You know
Connor,
what's also...
You supported this pick.
I do support this pick. This is a sneaky one, too, because sneaky reasoning, but Ryan Jensen is the starting center for the Bucs when they were powerhouses with Tom Brady. Dude's been gone for 2 years, and he was supposed to come back, and then he blew out his knee again or whatever. His career might be over. That's a huge problem when you have Jordan Davis and who else did they draft?
Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter.
He's looked
you got
amazing.
Problems. Seriously. And people don't understand, and I've mentioned plenty of times, a guy I used to work with was Tampa Bay Buccaneers head of analytics for a long time. He actually was always talking about how they ranked most valuable pieces of a team. And quarterback was one, of course. Left tackle was also up there. I think left tackle was 2. 3 and 4, defensive end and nose tackle. Because the amount of, if you have a star-studded nose tackle, it makes your entire defense completely change. Why? Because now, something up the middle, for example, every quarterback cannot step up in the pocket. Every time he drops back, you have to make them move the pocket, left, right, because you can't create that U shape, because you have somebody make it a W shape, because he's pushing your entire 3, 2, 3, whatever, 4 people back right into the lap of the quarterback. It changes things. And, of course, they did analytics, which, I'm a big fan of. I guess we're kind of a big fan of that here, numbers and stuff. So, yeah, big deal.
All right, so we'll move on to my best pick. We got a question in the chat. Do we still believe in Joe Burrow? We will get to that because we actually have a pick on the Rams-Bengals game shortly. Before we go there, I got my favorite pick, San Fran -10 against the Giants. The Giants were being humiliated by the Cardinals. And I am fairly confident the Cardinals lost that game because they went in at halftime and said, we want Caleb Williams. They said, that's it. We're done playing. Go get Caleb Williams. Let Daniel Jones look like a superstar. All right, guys? Stop tackling. Do whatever you got to do. Just make sure the Giants win this game. And that's exactly what happened. Giants had their miracle comeback. Woohoo. Hooray. You beat a college D1 team. Congratulations. I am nowhere near in on Daniel Jones in this offense. It has been abysmal. It went 6 quarters without scoring or even looking productive. San Fran is going to eat them alive. I think the Giants are worse than, like, let's say Pittsburgh, who the 49ers humiliated and gave up a garbage time touchdown to. That's it. So
No Saquon.
I don't need to talk about San Fran's offense. Everyone knows how dynamic it is, how much I love Kyle Shanahan and just everything they do, all play calling, scheme, talent. So all in, and you were right, Connor. No Saquon. So the only source of like threat from the Giants is gone. Darren Waller, maybe. But once you can focus him, it's going to look like the Raiders offense from 2 years ago. And if you don't remember that, there's a reason. Because it was trash. You didn't watch those games.
It was a trash game.
Ken, looks like you also have San Fran. Anything you want to add?
I've been back and forth on this one. I was like, man, 10 points for a Thursday game.
That's a lot, man.
It is. And the truth is, I'm just sticking with it. Man, I believed in the 49ers, and they actually, for as good as their defense is, I think their defense, or the Rams moved the ball pretty well on them last game. And they scored 20 points. And I don't think that the Giants can do any better whatsoever, especially without Saquon. By the way, not a lot's being talked about the Rams offense. That is really interesting offense out there. I mean, I like what they're doing.
We're going to cover it with Connor's pick of Rams versus Cincy in like a minute. Can you just be cool?
Anyways, I think that San Fran will score in garbage time. I think San Fran will score without garbage time. I think that I'm back on the Brock Purdy train, man. I think that he has all the tools on the offense, and they're just like, listen, just don't screw it up. And he's like, sure, no problem. And that's all you need when you're on that offense. I love it.
All right, before you go on, Anthony, do you want to drop in your pick that you think is the best, or do you just want to move on and not even expose people?
I'll do my half-hearted pick this week. I'm taking Seattle minus 5.5.
Conviction, Anthony. Conviction.
I watched the side-by-side of those Monday games yesterday, and Carolina's offense is pretty bad. I don't see them putting up enough points to compete with Seattle. Seattle's offense looks good this year. I mean, they're putting up the points they need to put up, and they put up some big points against Detroit. They're going to be back at home. They need another win. I could see them beating Carolina this week.
All right, so if Anthony is right, we will let him have a face again next week. Until then,
I got time. I mean, I want to see.
Shame on you.
I want to see.
He controls
Bryce...
the soundboard, so he's mocking himself.
I want to see Bryce Young do something, man. I gotta tell you, their offense has been hard to watch so far.
Dude,
if they can do it,
my
maybe
problem,
Seattle.
man. And this just drives me nuts, man. And I get it, because if you're drafted high as a quarterback, you're going to a bad team. I get that, but the fact that these guys did nothing to help him in the offseason besides get a 33-year-old Adam Thielen and an injury-prone who's already staying injured, DJ Chark, like, what are you going to do? Every team that plays you is going to load the box, 7, 8 guys, and you're going to sit here and say, hey, man, Bryce, you're a great processor. Process that as fast as humanly possible. Can't throw to anybody, but process it. So Anthony's take is incredibly valid, and I feel bad for Bryce, because now we're going to sit here in the rest of this offseason, the same thing we're still talking about with Fields and, even Pickett to an extent. Hey, well, Pickett's different. Sorry, I hate Pickett. Fields, hey, if he gets help, will he be good? Is it going to be Josh Allen? Is it going to be Jalen Hurts? Or is it going to be someone else like Jake Locker? Like, we're so quick to judge, and I feel really bad for Carolina.
All right, so with all that out the way, we can finally cover our listener question that was sent in like 30 minutes ago. Do we still believe in Joe Burrow? Connor, you have the over in Rams versus Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah.
So, it sounds like you still believe in our man, Joe Burrow.
There's a caveat here.
We're good.
There's a caveat here, Mr.
I mean, he has to play, right?
Mr. or Mrs. Listen, here's the problem. I think Joe's missing this game. That's the only problem. I have the over here almost exclusively because I think from what like Ken was saying, LA looked really good last week in terms of balanced offense. Kyron Williams, Stafford looks like old Stafford. And that was against San Francisco. Not overly convinced Cincinnati is going to be as good of a defense. If Joe Burrow plays, this would have been the smash play of the week. He's supposedly questionable with his calf. I still think Jake Browning can lead them to get enough points for the over, but I don't necessarily want to pick the Rams or the Bengals right now because I don't know who's playing at quarterback. I just think points will be scored. To finally answer the question, yes, absolutely believe in Joe Burrow. I think this is an indictment on what we have said from the beginning. If we had a button, it would be, I believe in Joe Burrow. I don't believe in Zach Taylor. And it is finally catching up with that clown. And oh my goodness, guess what we're going to do? He's going to be Marvin Lewis because he's going to eke out a 9-7 season, a 9-8 season, and we're going to deal with him for the next decade. That's what's going to happen. And Joe Burrow is going to be like, oh man, I love Zach Taylor on paper because we win.
I love Zach Taylor on paper, but Matt Stafford's not on the Rams anymore. LA is a pretty cool city. Can I go there?
Dude, I'm so mad about the Bengals, but I still believe in Joe Burrow.
Absolutely, 100%. I am never giving up on Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase. Although Jamar Chase has got to figure his crap out. I don't know how. I haven't focused on the scheme there and what they're doing with him. It seems like they're doing a bunch of quick hits and hoping he can bust out an 80-yard touchdown. They've got to fix whatever they're doing with his 10 catches for 80 yards or whatever he has on the year.
They're bracketing him a lot, but listen, bracketing has been around forever. Bracketing has been around since the 90s when they were like, hey, I don't know. You know that guy Jerry Rice? He's really good. Hey, Randy Moss, he's pretty good. Let's put two guys on him. And then there's the classic version of, what's that? It's a literal picture of two guys on, is it Andre Johnson? No, it's Calvin Johnson. Two guys at the goal line just saying, hey, we're not going to let you run a fade. Listen, that's been around forever. Figure it out, Zach. Be a play caller. Why is this hard for you to figure out?
I think it was the Ravens who started the three men onto Antonio Brown. They did corner, linebacker shade, and then safety shade. And you know what? He was still getting 50-plus yards a game. Figure it out. All right. With that said, let's go on to our next pick. I don't even know. Ken, what are you feeling? What do you think's good?
I don't even know what else I picked here.
Ken, go! Ken, go!
All right.
I kind of came under the bus because I wasn't looking at the sheet.
All right,
anyways, go ahead.
Phil, how about you start with your Washington
Here
pick.
we go. Ken, we'll go head-to-head on this one since it was indecisive. Washington plus 6.5. That's my pick. Ken has Buffalo minus 6.5. And let me tell you, sometimes you got to make picks that don't make any sense that you just believe in. And I've been hyping up Washington all year. I thought last week was going to be their downfall when they were down 21-3. And they came out of nowhere. They fought back, and they had an amazing win. They even tried to blow it with the Hail Mary, but still figured it out. I think Buffalo is just way too up and down. I believe Buffalo can win this game, but I don't believe in them to cover a touchdown spread. I know it's what they've done historically, but I just don't think this is the Buffalo team of years prior. The Washington front has when it came together in the second half of last week, it humiliated the Broncos. There is way too much talent between Jonathan Allen, Chase Young, Deron Payne, and Montez Sweat, I think, is the fourth.
Mm-hmm.
That's four all-pro caliber players. And their offense, Sam Howell has actually done a solid job processing, according to the guy who runs the QB school on YouTube, JT O'Sullivan. He seems to like the Washington offense. I think they need better play calling and better scheming, but it seems they got that together a little bit last week. So I'm going to trust them to come out with a garbage late cover in the fourth quarter to go from losing by 10 to losing by a field goal.
Let me tell you what bugs me is that I have Jahan Dotson on some fantasy teams, and every single week, or it's just two, I know, but he, in the first quarter and maybe some of the second quarter, he'll get 3 catches, 4 catches at like 30 yards or something like that, and not get anything else the rest of the game. And that's why they're losing. No. That has nothing to do with it. It's because it's because they're not playing Denver. Man, they're getting hyped up because of this comeback. Guess what? When you go down 21-3 against the Bills, it's not going to be as easy to come back. I think that, yes, their defense did look good. They're not playing Russell Wilson. I think that James Cook is just starting to, show where he's at in that offense, and that's, the number 2 weapon behind Diggs. I think that between those two, Josh Allen, he had his bad game against the Jets. I don't think it's happening again. Or at least this week. And Phil's he made the argument for me. There's no reason to like the Commanders. When the Bills win, they win by double digits, and they beat up on bad teams. Welcome
Absolutely.
to
And you know what? I can't argue with any of that. All I know is Giants last year went like 11-5 or 11-6, whatever it was. And there's got to be a team like that every year that no one understands. This year, it's my Washington Commanders. Go
and that's
Sam
fine.
Howell.
They'll start 2-1, and the Bills will put them back in their place, and then they'll come back, and Sam Howell will kind of get it together. That's what'll happen.
All right, Connor, it looks like you have New England over the Jets. New England -3.5. Is this just pure, I don't like Zach Wilson?
100%. That's it. That's all you need to do. Nothing here. Like,
All right. So just pause.
How do you feel about
this
Mac
This is
Jones?
gonna fit in right here. I got a message from my cousin John. He wanted us to talk about this, and I had a feeling with you here this would come up. Zach Wilson versus Justin Fields. His hot take is that Zach Wilson will be in like better. People will view him better than Justin Fields by the end of the year because people are going to be so out on Fields and how bad he is as a passer. So I'll let you go ahead, take that, and do with it what you will.
all right, so I would say I don't think that Zach Wilson is getting through the next month as the starter. Let's put it that way. I think they have to make a move, and I don't think he's going to be in the position long enough to make that argument. That being said, we talked about it a little bit today. It's so upsetting the way that Chicago is ruining the potential here. Now, I've seen some really ugly clips. Everyone's kind of seeing the clips right now. Fields is struggling processing. Cannot read a defense to save his life. Showed flashes that he was getting better. And actually, I to your point, I think I've seen somebody like on the QB school. He's actually getting better at processing, but it's still like light years behind where he needs to be. But they are not doing anything to help him by saying he had 4 designed runs last week. 4. For a guy who had 1,000 yards rushing in 14 games last year, and you gave him 4 designed runs. You cannot tell me that's the best opportunity for him. So I'll say I think by the end of the year, it'll be an irrelevant question because neither of them will be viewed very well. I think you need to fire Getz right now and figure out if somebody else can call plays to his strengths. Then you know, all right, it wasn't the play caller. It wasn't Fields, or it wasn't the play caller that was the problem. It's Fields, and you move on and you draft. So, loaded question, loaded answer. Zach Wilson should sit down. Back to the actual pick. Yeah. By the way, I'm pretty sure this says -3, mister.
Yeah, it's -3 New England. That's what I said.
No, you said 3.5. Go back. Anthony, make the replay. Anyways, it's -3. Dude, I'm telling you, this is not a hot take about Mac Jones. He looks serviceable, okay? The guy looks serviceable. Like, I'm saying, like, serviceable, and I don't care that it's the Jets. Like, Zach Wilson's not going to move the ball, I don't believe. And Mac Jones is going to move the ball some. And then Ramondre's going to kick it in, Zeke's going to take it in, whatever. I think that's the game plan here. And, man, I really hope Belichick has some just nastiness up his sleeve for Zach Wilson. I hope he quits.
So, one, I just want to say your compliment to
gonna
Mac
quit?
Jones.
Wait, let's. What do you mean?
What?
Quit his job as a professional NFL quarterback?
Antonio Brown off the field. See you later. I suck at this game.
So I just want to focus on
Shout out
Connor's
all the
compliment.
moms. That's what Zach
Some-
Wilson's going to do.
Connor's compliment to Mac Jones is he is serviceable. That's like hey, I'm dating this girl, and you're telling your mom about her. And she goes, what's she like? I'm like, hey, if she was in the middle of a room, you wouldn't notice her. She's very bland, very plain. It's not good or bad.
Listen,
She's just there.
You're like,
She's serviceable.
"Dude, hey, man, she's a girl. That's all I got."
Okay. So, yeah, I was actually thinking when he asked me this, I was like, yeah, dude, I think Zach Wilson. I would say he's a Justin Fields if you didn't have any athleticism on Justin Fields, and like Zach Wilson is serviceable athleticism, but when it's an elite athlete versus him, it's borderline nothing. And then also, I want to focus on how much the Jets are putting kid gloves on Zach Wilson. Last week, they were down by like 2 touchdowns, and it was a 3rd and 17 in the second half, and they ran a draw play. They are literally punting the year away, saying we can't do it. Like, if our defense doesn't win us the game, we can't do anything. So it is what it is, and we're not even going to expose Zach Wilson to look that bad.
That's what I'm saying. You're going to get a new quarterback. That's what you're telling everyone without telling them.
All right.
Well, I hope they do it sooner than later. That's a tough division to be down in. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, so Anthony has the under in this game at 37. Since it's not his best pick of the week, we won't let him speak about it. I hope he has a good week so we can come back and we can see him again. Also, thank you for doing the sounds and the future screen sharing. Very helpful. All
Make
right.
sure you rewind that and say that Phil had it wrong. It's -3.
Okay. Anyways, I have a lot of picks, and I'm just going to go through my next one then. And
Rapid fire, Phil.
It's got to be Houston versus Jacksonville. Jacksonville -9.5. This is quick. Houston has looked terrible. They have only looked good in garbage time. And I think Jacksonville is going to bounce back, and they are going to destroy their little brother in their division at home. Trevor Lawrence gets it back together. Kansas City's defense is underrated and did an excellent job. But also, Calvin Ridley had like 4 borderline catches that all were like he brushed out of bounds. I think Calvin Ridley's going to come out and have a big game. Zay Jones is hurt.
Too.
Okay. Yeah. And Christian Kirk finally looked like Christian Kirk. So, real quick and easy. Jacksonville -9.5. The Texans are terrible. Their offense is absolutely abysmal until teams start playing prevent because they're up by like 3 touchdowns.
Hey, I don't know if you know this, but CJ Stroud has like 650 passing yards in the first 2 games, mister.
Did you hear about what I just said? How teams sit and prevent because they're up by 2 touchdowns?
This is what's going to happen. They're going to say, hey, man, let's just give the kid the reins and let him play air raid. After we're down 2 touchdowns, what do we got to lose? That's why I have the over here, Phil. You forgot to mention that. I've got the over here because...
I was going to kick it to you, and you interrupted.
Whatever, dude. I'm taking over. Anyways, so I'm just telling you, I think eventually he's going to start throwing touchdown passes, and they're going to get points. I mean, I'm not saying that their defense is good, and I'm not saying that their offensive coordinator is great. I'm just saying game script is going to dictate that these guys are going to get just throw the crap out of the ball. If you had picked up Dameon Pierce in fantasy in the offseason, sorry about your luck. They're going to be throwing the ball a lot.
All right. Let's go over 10. I think you have 1 pick remaining. Tennessee -3 against the Browns. Is this just kicking people when they're down?
I'm surprised you guys don't also have this. We're giving Mike Vrabel 3 points against a team that just lost their whole offense.
I don't want to touch the Browns, man. They scare me now, so that's why I don't even want to touch them.
In what way?
Yeah,
They
he's
scare
scared
me
of
too,
Deshaun
but I
Watson.
think different ways.
I'm
By the way, guys,
scared, like
I
something
still want.
like we did gave them bad mojo, and it's just all bad now.
Oh, okay. It's an us thing. I gotcha. I kind of hope I'm wrong. I'd like to see us win. If we do, I'll bet you it's by 2. But no, really, this Tennessee team that they just eked out a win against the Chargers, and like traditionally the Browns, our defense has looked amazing, by the way. I mean, completely amazing. We usually have a hard time with someone like Derrick Henry running the ball, like right up the middle on us, and we'll see how we do. I am scared. Deshaun Watson, I will tell you as a Browns fan, has not had one good looking, even average quarterback looking game in a Browns uniform. I'm worried to see what happens. I want us to sign another running back, but I don't think it'll matter because you don't replace Nick Chubb. You just don't.
FYI, just so you know, I'm kicking you in down. The whole quarterback market is a problem because you guys decided to sign Deshaun Watson to a fully guaranteed $1 billion contract. That's a problem.
Yes.
Yeah, we're well aware. I think we did it on purpose. I think it's like we couldn't find a quarterback, so we're going to ruin everyone's quarterback situation.
So, in our group chat, I just wanted to say, someone threw out, who would you rather have, Justin Fields or Deshaun Watson? And I said, I'd rather have Justin Fields because I can actually get rid of him without being in debt for the next decade.
That's true.
I said, I thought it was like a win on Sunday thing, so I said Deshaun Watson because at least he can semi-process a field, and unfortunately Justin Fields isn't there yet. All right.
This is what? Oh my goodness, this makes me so mad.
I'm not blaming him. It's the situation, but it is what it is. He can't.
It's not that hard, dude. It's just not that hard. I'm just telling you. Do exactly what.
We need to make sure Connor has seafood lasagna every single week.
Seafood lasagna.
This is. No, this is this because you're in Chicago? You don't have to worry about Basha coming in and yelling at you.
Yeah, I can be as loud as I want.
All right, Connor, your last pick. You're following the Steelers, thinking their 2 touchdowns, 2 defensive touchdowns is going to continue or something. Why are you taking them as 2.5-point underdogs in Las Vegas?
Because I hate Jimmy G. That's why. Listen, man. I actually don't mind. This is like the situation that you could be like. You should just aspire to be Brock Purdy. As crazy as it sounds, if you're picking, I don't know if you can be, but you got a pretty good running game. You got a really good tight end, which you apparently forget that he's on your team. He's got 2 catches this year. Period. You got potentially a really good star in Pickens, who is either going to be in jail in 5 years or he's going to be on the team and be a superstar. But I'm just telling you, man, I just think that I don't like Jimmy G. Jimmy G looked really bad this past week. And I mean, back to old Jimmy G. And Josh Jacobs, his last 20 rushes, it was crazy. I think he has no higher of a rush than 8 yards. Seriously, his last 20 or 25 rushes. And that tells me 2 things. Jimmy G's not threatening anybody. And old Josh McDaniels hasn't figured out how to have balanced offense. And, man, Tom Brady is really good because he made Josh McDaniels get not 1, but 2 head coaching jobs. So
3 technically, if you want to count the Colts.
Oh, yeah. The fake out. This is more an indictment on Las Vegas. I'm more or less just picking that Pittsburgh's getting points. Fine. I'm good with that. I think this is a 0 game, and I'll go ahead and take. I think it's a good value here.
I'm with you. I'm taking it too, and it's because I think T.J. Watt will score another touchdown, and I don't mean him. Like he might get a strip sack, and they'll score.
You know
something.
what you forgot to mention, Ken? That was weird. It was like 5 seconds in the game, and then all of a sudden, you get the ball, and then all of a sudden the other team has 7 points. It was weird. Like Deshaun Watson magically threw it to the other team.
Hey,
that was
3
off Harrison
people
Bryant's
almost
hands,
caught
man.
the ball that game. Yeah, I'm not playing.
That was just
It was
not
close.
good, but it
was
certainly
close.
could have been
He could have hit him in the chest too.
And guess what?
Why
If
would
that was
you-
the worst
he
thing
was
that he did all
leading him.
game.
He was
would've been
leading
fine.
him.
We win if that's the worst thing that Deshaun Watson does all game.
Oh my
If
gosh.
that's not pathetic.
Dude, if he doesn't get the face mask, if he just takes the sack instead of the face mask, I think we're in field goal range. And then,
Yep.
oh my gosh. It's so bad.
Wow. What a winner. What a
Hey,
winner.
Shut up!
What a
You
winner.
picked them too,
I'll-
man. You
I'll
picked
tell
them
you
too.
what. I'll tell you
Hate
what.
you.
There was a good amount of memes that came out and little funny comments when he was grabbing those face masks.
I saw it was hilarious. It was something like, it was a meme that just said, it had a picture of like Denzel Washington like making a face, and it was like every time not Josh Allen, every time Deshaun Watson hears illegal hands to the face. It's like I was like, oh,
It's so bad. It's so
Yeah.
bad. May need to clip that for,
And he says,
children's ears.
yeah, I know. We've been here before.
All right. So with that, you have all of our picks. I have an article coming out on Baltimore. I'm going to take Baltimore -7.5. You can read that later in the week. But with that, Anthony, we're going to do a look ahead this week, mixing it up, doing something a little bit fun. So we're going to look at week 4. Anthony is going to share his screen, show us the odds. We are all going to make a pick, kind of gutly and instinctly. Is he there?
Yeah, Gutley. That's a word.
It sounds like a word. All right, here we go. So, honestly, just kind of shout it out whenever you see. I got an easy one. Broncos -1. Yeah. So I think the Broncos are going to get.
Let me read the screen first, Phil.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. Call them out as you see them. I'm taking Broncos -1.
Dang.
The Bears are trash. The Broncos are going to get crushed by the Dolphins. And I 100% think, like, the Broncos are going to bounce back. And this line, yeah, I don't know how the line's going to move, but the Bears are not 1-point underdogs against the Broncos. They're going to make way too many mistakes for the Broncos have a good defense. They just haven't played like it. All right. You can scroll down unless you guys saw something.
When you if you're gonna play the line moving game, the Jags -3 with the at home against the Falcons who are getting +3, that's gonna move a lot. I think Falcons look bad this week. Jags look good.
Vikings -1. Vikings -1. It's my turn, Ken. Vikings -1. Kirk Cousins has me convinced that he's good at QB, like above average. So
Vikings -1 over Carolina. I'm looking forward to seeing how these like reconcile with our picks next week. Are we actually going to call them out?
And I can't. I can't see it. I don't know if you guys can see it. How far zoomed out it is.
Well,
But
Anthony's
have it
expecting
here.
us to have. We have good eyes. I have good eyes. I got lazy. So
I have good eyes. I got glasses.
Well, I have another screen here, and I'm gonna pick.
Go ahead. If it's close enough, it's whatever. We round.
Seattle -1 against the Giants. Saquon won't be back.
oh yeah, smash.
Look at that. The Monday night game, the sneaky pick. Ken knew that coming in the whole time. He was
Chiefs
ready.
-2. Chiefs -2. Chiefs -2 right now.
That's 7.
Smash.
Okay.
-7.
Okay, that -2 doesn't look like it exists because the line next to it is +7.
Aw, boo.
Oh, I'll give you Chiefs -2 because it is right there.
Listen, if it's in there though, and they have not updated, do it right
that's
now.
That's a good one. Yeah, go smash Chiefs -2.
How do you guys see this?
What do you mean? We have eyes.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, dude, that's a funny one. I also
Dude,
love the
come on.
Cardinals and the Niners. Niners -14 at one book, -10.5 at another.
So Caesars is the one doing the -2. I would go
So
check that.
Get
Go
on your
look
Caesars.
right now.
Go get
That-
the Chiefs. You're gonna wait an extra week, but it's gonna be worth it.
What do we think about the Rams Colts? I like the Rams, right?
Dude,
Anthony
that's
Richardson.
Anthony Richardson. All
Yeah.
depends
Oh,
on
that
Anthony
is true.
Richardson.
That is true.
All depends.
By the way,
Gamble.
since we trashed Justin Fields, huge shout out to Shane Steichen and what he has done with the rawest quarterback in the draft and made Anthony Richardson look like a legit NFL player. regular doing some, not advanced stuff, but casual reads, running an offense. Like it's fantastic that this dude played 10 games, 12 games for Florida and is now actually functioning.
It's the same dude, and this, like I said, I've said it so many times. Literally, make it a triangle every time. It's you, a wide receiver on the outside, and a wide receiver, a tight end on the inside. 2-man route. Pick one. Option A, option B, run. And guess what? Anthony Richardson's doing that. And I am shocked that people aren't like, hey, Shane Steichen, can we just have your film? I mean, technically we can watch all your film, right? Like, we can learn what you're doing. It does not that hard.
NFL Game Pass is not very expensive for an NFL team.
Madden, I think, uploads a lot of the plays. I think they upload a lot of the regular plays, man.
Oh my gosh. You sound like
dude, I'm so
who was it? It was
they're gonna ruin Fields, and then Fields is gonna come as a flop, and it's just which is not necessarily false. I just think that, again, him, Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, all misses, all went to places that could have succeeded if you put the right head coach or offensive coordinator with them.
You include Zach Wilson in that?
Nah, you're right. Zach Wilson sucks, period.
All right. With that, thank you guys so much for listening. You got our picks for this week.